Well, hey everybody, it's Ernie Dill with Sampson Properties here in the Fredericksburg and Stafford area. I want to speak with you about the performance of the Spotsylvania County and Stafford County real estate markets through the end of November, and I want to take a look at 2021. There's been a lot of speculation on the internet to the effect that 2021 is going to be a disaster and that there could be a down year. Some people have even said down 40%. Well, let's look and let's make up our own notion of what's going to happen. As mentioned, there is a certain amount of skepticism, so I put on my best skeptical look there. Stafford and Spotsylvania real estate markets to crash in 2021? Question mark, question mark, question mark. As mentioned on YouTube, a number of thoughtful people, 461,000 views a month ago, 95,000 views. These people are getting a lot of traction, a lot of views on YouTube. Housing crash 2021, what they aren't telling you. These are great headlines. They get a lot of clicks, obviously, and a lot of people do look at them. Real estate crash of 2021, my thoughts. Housing bubble 2.0 with Randy Patrick, who's a broker and a consultant, thoughtful guy. He mentions, and this is true, there is eviction and foreclosure risk for as many as 5.7 million households. It's actually down to about 5.5 million now, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. The real estate markets here in Stafford and Spotsylvania, in answer to the question, is it going to crash in 2021? My answer is no. I do think it may return, particularly later in the year, to a more normal market. A lot of folks are, when certain things are resolved, going to put their homes on the market, and so supply is very likely to increase. And if we have more homes to sell, that should mediate prices a bit, and it should make it a little bit easier for buyers to actually purchase a house. Looking specifically at the statistics for the end of November, Stafford County had 218 completed transactions. Now in Stafford and Spotsylvania at any given time, folks, there are over 500 houses under contract. About half of them are heading for closing within that calendar month, whereas the other half are closing in the next 30 to 45 days. So between the two counties, there's over 1,000 homes typically under contract. So relative to the 5-year average of closings, volume in Stafford was up about 19%. The inventory, or the number of homes available for purchase, unfortunately, is at an all-time low. It's down 69%. 163 actives at the end of November available for purchase versus a 5-year November average of over 500 homes. Were all new listings to immediately stop at the end of November, existing buyer demand would have eaten up those 163 homes in 2.5 weeks. So that's how low the inventory or supply of homes is. When we look at Stafford's performance statistics, the average sale has gone from 360,000 and change to almost 413,000. That's up 14.59% year to date. And the supply and demand, the supply is so low, it's down 66.8% at the end of November versus the 5-year average. So 163 sales versus active listings versus the November 2019 actual number, almost that 500, 491. Look at how quickly things are going under contract as well. 188 of 218 completed sales were in under 30 days on the market. Spotsylvania is very, very similar. 3 weeks of supply, active listings down 57%, and closed sales volume up over 33%. The average sale price has gone from 334,000 and change to 383,000 and change, up 14.66%. The active available listings for purchase down about 57%, and everything closing very, very quickly. What's 2021 look like? 2021, according to Zillow, at the end of November, they're expecting 2021 to be the best year for home sales since 2005. Bullish outlook for next year. They mentioned the momentum. That's what we're seeing when you have multiple offers, typically 3, 4, 5 offers for a home, and poor buyers are just in a brutal situation. They may write 4 or 5 offers and not even get a home, so they're still out there. All-time low mortgage interest rates, and demographics as well. The millennials and the Gen Z folks are at that stage of life where they're forming families, and so they need housing. So prices are going to go up or continue to go up in 2021 simply because demand exceeds supply. And the all-time low interest rates, all-time low inventory, extraordinary demand, those folks shut out in 2020 are still there. So we're going to see higher prices. The new construction folks are not able to ameliorate this demand either because they can't build homes fast enough. They're suffering from much higher costs for their labor and material, and COVID, of course, has caused shortages of building materials. Building codes, of course, are very strict, so you can't cut corners. So there aren't any immediate answers to increasing that supply. We're hoping that when things are a little clearer going forward as to what's going to happen in our country, that more folks will look out there and say, hey, we're going to put our house on the market. Never before have we seen such a low number of homes for sale. Why is that the case? There's so much uncertainty right now. People just don't want to move quite yet. They want to be sure they've got adequate savings and that they're not spending their money too quickly. They want to know their job security is okay and what their income looks like in 2021. And hey, how much equity do we have in our home? Do we want to scoop that equity? The presidential election is under challenge. And as we look at it 2022 to 2030, there are competing worldviews. You may or may not be familiar with the Great Reset. If you're not, you might want to look into it. I had thought of really providing a lot of information on that. As many of you know, I used to be an investment advisor in a previous career. The Great Reset is a real global concern, and there are a lot of very powerful people behind it. The Green New Deal fits right in with it. The American left is very supportive of it. And as we go to resolution on the presidential election, the question then becomes, is that going to prevail? Or is the traditional American republic going to survive? Those two worldviews cannot coexist. They are anathema to one another. So when is this mess going to finally be over is the question. And of course, people will begin to put their homes on the market and move on with their lives at that point. Well, is everything really rainbows and sunshine? Well, maybe not. You know, what could go wrong? We look at Black Knight. That's one of the best sources of information for what's going on with mortgages. And when we consider mortgages, first of all, there are about 137 or 138 million housing units in the United States. Approximately 38% of those are owned outright. They don't have a mortgage. That leaves somewhere around 88 million homes that are mortgaged. Out of that 88 million, if you look down here in yellow at the bottom, about 5.5 million are late on their mortgages, at least 30 days. Now, believe it or not, it's normal that about 2 to 3% of mortgages, particularly FHA mortgages, are late at any given moment in time, even in the best of times. Right now, 6.33% of all mortgages are late. And there are a number of people who are in forbearance who are being allowed simply not to pay their mortgage. And they will probably tack it onto, any unpaid balance onto the end of the mortgage and then reformat that mortgage. So we'll see what happens there, but certainly there is a certain delinquency rate. Now, would these result in foreclosure? There's very little foreclosure right now. And when we look at the mortgaged homes, and particularly the 6.33% of mortgaged homes that are late on their mortgage, about 90% of those have equity. So were these people to be forced to sell, they can't make the payments and they have to go onto the market, they're just going to sell regularly. They're not going to be foreclosed. So we do not foresee a major foreclosure problem. Mortgage delinquencies are an indicator of the challenges ahead, and most of these folks have equity. Some of the owners will be affected, and undoubtedly they'll be forced to sell. That's going to be a helpful thing. Commercial real estate is a whole different matter. Hotels, malls, office buildings, and a lot of other commercial facilities are not receiving current rent payments, and that does affect those landlords' ability to meet their operating expenses and pay their own mortgages. We had an affordable housing crisis. I know if you look around Stafford and Spotsylvania, there's a lot of building going on. There are a lot of apartments going up. You might even think there are too many. Well, realistically, there's a shortage of housing units, and there has been a moratorium on eviction and foreclosure, and that has just been extended. Well, sooner or later, there are going to be a lot of evictions, and so there are going to be a lot of people moving around. As mentioned, I was an investment advisor in a previous career. I'm here to tell you 2021 is going to be fine. The real question is the long term. I view us as being at a major turning point. We've been kicking the can down the road in a lot of ways for a very long time, more than a generation. And so there's a real question as we look at our federal government, are we going to succumb to abominations like this? This is the latest insult to the American people. It hasn't been signed by the current president, but our government seems to feel it just can print money endlessly, create money from electrons. The way it's done is, the Federal Reserve creates money from electrons inside the Treasury. Used to be totally independent, and then charges the government interest for having the ability to then push that money out into the economy and eventually down to you and me. So the question is long term. There's a lot of corruption here. This is a big bill, and our congressional leaders seem to feel that foreign countries and other folks are more important than the American people, and that's not a recipe for success. When we look forward in time, the central banks are they're simply creating money. China has had a tremendous impact on this country, and we're in a situation where we need to make some serious decisions. So real estate looks great for 2021. Happy New Year to you and your family. It's an honor to be able to serve you. I will put out another video in the near term that shows you some of the ways that you can very straightforwardly sell your home should you wish in 2021. And again, Happy New Year, and it's a great pleasure to serve you. God bless. Bye-bye.